Right.
Everyone, my name
Okay,
is Anastasia.
Nastasia,
Yes,
okay. The stage is yours.
amazing. Thank you so much. My name is Nastasia. With some of you we've met before, with some of them recently. So we will talk today a little bit about cross-cultural communication. I will present in English. I know that when I'm a little bit nervous, I'm starting to speak really, really fast. So I really rely on you here. And if you feel that like I started talking like too fast, too quick, I need you to raise a hand and I will understand that I need to slow down. In 2 words about myself, I'm head of operations for Sigma Software for Latin America. I have like very important date for myself today and this week in general. We celebrated 1 year being here, and it's actually personally for me, it's like 1 year of being speaker for TDC. It started here like 1 year ago. Thank you so much. In this the same track in the opposite room. So it's like very, very exciting for myself. Yeah, I have been working with different customers and different teams for the last 11, 12 years, something like that. Mostly I work with Europe and United States. And as I said, like 1 year and something, I already working with my amazing team from Latin America, mostly with Brazil. So what I wanted to talk about today is actually about difference between different cultures, how these cultures communicate and how it works together. And it's actually a great tip when you work in international companies, so you can have some kind of insights on how like other people, what kind of ground they have and what kind of like, information they're talking about. So, and I know that it's like last day, last presentation, everyone is a little bit tired. So I will try to do like a little bit more fun for you today here. And in general, like if you're talking about cross-cultural communication and different cultures, I want you to imagine like, that you're on some kind of like really, really cool dance festival. And you have like, maybe, this kind of TV show, it was like, so you think you can dance when people like from different backgrounds, they went and present some kind of dancing skills in the different areas. And when you're here, you have like people who like somebody dance some kind of, I don't know, like slow dance, somebody do it like fast, someone going like the social dance and like tango or like samba, like whatever, and somebody do it like really, really classic ones. And if you want to win in this kind of competition, you can't go there like with only one skills, because like if you do like samba all the time, even when it like plays some kind of, I don't know, like Polish polka, that would be a little bit weird. And the same it works like with international companies and international career, because if you want to be successful not only like with your local team and local colleagues, then you need to understand like what's happening outside of your comfort zone. And what? Like as I was a person who presented this, who made this presentation, I was, thinking about the countries that I work the most, and I think that you might find them interesting. And today we will talk about United States. We will talk about Sweden or like Nordic countries in general. So it's actually pretty similar to the, I know, like Finland, Norway, or like Netherlands, for example, as well. We definitely will talk about Brazil. And as I'm originally from Ukraine, I have an opportunity to tell you a little bit more about Ukraine as well. Something happening with presentation. Okay, cool. So, but before we like go into details about these cultures, and we will have like lots of information, I want to give you a little bit serious as well. And in general, if you, because like definitely we can't cover like all the countries in the world right now and all the cultures, but when you approach your colleagues like from the different countries, you can like, you can basically like separate them into groups, or like divide them into groups. One of the group is called like countries with a low context. And if you're talking about like countries with low context, it's basically going to the like very simple statement that everything that it's like happening and everything that you see and hear, it's something that the person means. So for example, like if I say you that you did a great job, it means that I really mean it, that you did a great job. And countries with low context is United States and it's Sweden. And basically, like I did this analogy with the dancing because if you think about like hip hop, which is in our case like United States, everything is pretty clear there. Like, you know, person dance, what they mean. Everything is like direct. You have this kind of like liner moves and etc. And the same is happening with ballet. There are like lots of many different rules in this dance. It's like very choreographic. Like people made these moves and steps, and you need to know like the instructions. But at the end of the day, like it's very, very like obvious what's happening on the stage when people dance. The same as the cultures, and actually with like people who are from there, and when like they're, you know, when they're suggesting some information. And then it doesn't work. And then we have like countries with a high context. And countries with a high context, it's a little bit tricky because as we like have in Brazil, like with samba, you can't know all the like dance and moves and what's actually going to happen, like, you know, in the next couple of minutes. And there are lots of different interactions between people, lots of different emotions. You have this kind of like, you have music, you need to understand like, you know, what kind of tempo we have right now. We have this like connection between partners. So like, you know, somebody not telling, but actually like pushing your partner to do some kind of moves. And like, for example, with Ukrainian folk dance, you have lots of, you know, historical background that you need to understand before you actually will understand what's happening on the stage when people dance. So the same happening with the culture in general. For example, like if you're a person from Ukraine and you need to give some kind of like feedback or critique, you need like, you know, you will never say that I really don't like your job. You would say something in between. And to understand that I really like dislike something, you need like to take a look at my face, actually to hear some kind of intonation, maybe some kind of specific like gestures. So this is like, and all the countries, they're like more or less divided between like low context and high context in general. By the way, like Brazil is, Brazil has the, how should I put it? Like the lowest context, like, the lowest high context, yeah. It's a little bit tricky, but it is. Okay. Now we will go in details. And I tried to do it like kind of, I really like, you know, I started to put all the information in the tables. Then I realized that I have like 35 pages with tables, and I think that I saw that you will die. So I removed all the tables. We will have like two main groups that we will talk about today. It's just like general behavior and work in like related environment. And I made all the information in the bars. And I want to do like some kind of remark at the beginning that there is like no, like, you know, some kind of assessment from my side. It's like if you have like the full bar, it doesn't mean that it's good. And if you have like the low bar, it doesn't mean that it's bad. So it's just like, in the comparison to each other of these countries, the way how, like, you know, you can understand the degree of something happening there. I know that's a little bit like bad explanation, but it will be obvious now. So we will start like, you know, with United States. And if you again, like, will remember the dance, we are talking about, for example, like personal space. People from United States are like really, really, you know, kind of secure about their personal space. You will have some kind of like handshakes. Maybe if you're friends, you will have some kind of very light hugs, but it will be like, you know, like, I'm hugging you like that, and that's all. And it's very like interesting to see, especially like, you know, first some kind of interactions with people from low context and high context, because usually countries with high context, they like have completely opposite understanding of personal space. So it's usually some kind of fun stories happening here. Then we have like time conception, and it's something that I wanted to emphasize on, because like for United States, time conception is crucial, especially like in a business environment. You have this kind of like, you know, 1-2 minutes, it's okay to be late. But when you're like late and like on the meeting or like a business, some kind of in-person meeting, if you're like for 10 minutes, it's kind of extremely rude. So all the time, for example, if I recently was late for the meetings with my client, and I was late like really for 10 minutes. And I was so stressed and upset about that because I knew that this kind of behavior is like completely not okay. And I'm like, I will not tell about work-life balance. Everyone knows about United States work-life balance. It's not happening here. Then we have Sweden. Sweden is also like a country with low context. And we have like pretty same situation in general, except for work-life balance. Sorry, I lost my phone. And there is like, very funny joke about personal space and Sweden that I want to tell you. I will pick it up. Thank you so much. When the pandemic, when it was pandemic time, and we have this kind of like social distance that everyone like suffered a lot about, it was like meter and a half. And everyone like, it was struggling, especially like in the public transport and etc. And when like officially it was, pandemic is off, we don't have this kind of social distance rule, etc. In Sweden, like they had a joke that finally we can go to our 2 meter social distance and don't need to keep this like meter and a half. They're like really, really very secure about that. They also have this kind of like time conception. So it's okay to be late like for 5 minutes. More than 5 minutes, it's kind of, you're just like wasting people's time. And like Sweden, there are top 3 countries who are extremely, extremely cares about like work-life balance. Everything that's happening outside the working hours is not okay, like at all. And I also have like one situation. We have one team member who was working for the Swedish customer, and they noticed that like sometimes he joined and I don't remember he merged some code in the code base on Saturdays because like he was so involved and he really likes to do that, and like nobody asked him. And they came to us and say we need to do something. We either need to change him on the project or we need him to stop because it's not okay, it's not safe, and we really don't want to encourage this kind of behavior. So like most likely if you work like for Swedish customer, you never ever overwork. And then we have Brazil. And you can correct me here because most of you are like locals. But I was trying to do some kind of research, and actually based on my experience, I will not tell about everything, but I want to specify about time conception because half a year ago I was in São Paulo, and we discussed with my friends from São Paulo that we want to go to some kind of summer place, and they will show me local culture. And São Paulo is crazy city with crazy traffic, so I didn't expect that the road will take me not half an hour, but actually an hour. And I was writing them messages that I'm extremely, extremely sorry. I'm gonna be late on 30 minutes, and I don't know, guys, are you okay with it or not? We can cancel, we can reschedule and things like that. And they're just, 30 minutes. You actually shouldn't even tell us that you're gonna be late because it's not even being late here. And it's it's some kind of crash of the culture for me personally, because if we're talking about Ukraine, for example, for us, it's okay for being late for 15 minutes. It's something that you will most likely, just drop a line and it's okay. But if I'm late for 30 minutes, even for meeting with my friends, I need really to have a reason why I'm late, that late. It's time for breeze for everyone and for me. And then we're talking about working environment. And I want to have some kind of notes here that I feel that it's quite important to highlight. I want to talk a little bit about feedback and criticism and this decision-making model and explain why the bars are built in this way. So if we're talking about United States, as it's the country with low context and everything is strict and clear, the same happening with the communication styles in the meeting and there is feedback. So you will receive very strict assessment of your job and of your work, and then you will go right exactly in discussing how we can fix it. So for example, A happened, B, I don't like this, and then this is a scenario, how we're gonna fix it, let's fix it. And most likely you will not have some kind of really long explanation about that, nobody wants to hurt your feeling, but it's just happened, it's okay, it happened to lots of people, let's think about some kind of other behavior, like other things that we can do, and it's okay. And nobody like in states are trying to offend you in this way. It's just like the way how the feedback meeting is built in general in the culture. And at the same time, it's like the culture of high pace and decision-making process. So everyone trying to make decisions like that. And they encourage people in the teams to do the same. So most likely, if there's some kind of a problem, the discussion on the meeting, like the manager or like team lead would expect everyone to contribute and actually, to be proactive and make some kind of decisions out of this meeting, like right away. Something very similar happening with Sweden in general, with the only difference that if we're talking about Sweden, they have quite funny, sometimes even a bit irritating for Ukrainians habit. They make all the decisions all together. So for example, like if you're in the meeting and you decided to, I don't know, like change the technology or like change a framework or the general approach. Like right now we want to do not to go to the work like at 8 a.m., but go to the work like at 8:15. And as you will sit there and discuss this question till the moment when like everyone in the room will accept this rule. And if you have like even like one person who would say that this is like really bad rule, it will never happen. All the decisions made collectively, and actually even for example when the team is looking for them, we had a situation as well like in the customers team. So we had a team and the team lead was like promoted and he was in another role, so we were looking for another team lead for the team, and all the team members interviewed all the candidates and actually picked the person who would like be their manager at the end of the day. And even despite the fact that like that candidate wasn't approved by the main managerial team, like they approved other candidate, like the team chose this person and this person would be their manager. And this is the way how all the decisions makes in Sweden. Then we have Brazil, and what I wanted to say about feedback and criticism, again telling that the small bar is not something bad. It just in general, the approach to feedback from what I noticed is very, very gentle. And we talking about, from what I heard, from the team members that were giving me feedback or feedback to each other and I was presented, everything is trying to be everyone is thinking about how the person would feel in the first thing, how it would potentially affect the relationship between people, the relationship between you and me. And after that, you will have some kind of criticism. So I was struggling a little bit, at the first times, at the first couple of meetings to actually understand what was wrong, because I have, this kind of 20 minutes of how everything was great, and then 1 minute of something that maybe a little bit, but it would be nice if we change this. And then everything was great as well. So first couple of meetings, I was everything's great. And then it wasn't. So just fun thing to notice. Yeah, but if we're talking about Ukrainians in general, they also have this kind of approach to feedback as people in Brazil, with a difference that in general in the companies, it's not so many things about the feelings and relationship. It's mostly about hierarchy and the structure of the management team. So for example, if we talk about if I would give the feedback to my peer, not me personally, but in general, if you have the team of Ukrainians and you would give the feedback to the peer, you would think a couple times if you're really peers, or if this person is superior from the experience perspective, you would really go with this kind of soft recommendation way, just because historically happened in our minds sometimes ago. We're almost done. And this is something really work related stuff. And as I said, the whole bar isn't always the best thing that you can see. I don't know, should we discuss it? Okay. In general, what I meant about sense of urgency, it's something the speed of response that person expect when they give the task or actually tell you something. So for example, when I have customers from United States and they ask me to do something or ask me a question, I know that they expect me to answer within, I don't know, 15 minutes or something like that. And when it took me 2 hours, it's actually kind of a disaster. And they can start calling or writing some kind of text if it's really something important. Lots of overtimes. And when we're talking about dissatisfaction, it's not about that all people in states are not satisfied. It's in general the approach of telling openly that you're not happy with your work environment, with your tasks, and etc. You could expect a really honest and open answer on that. In Sweden, it's a little bit other situation. As I mentioned before, Sweden is kind of, records country from the work-life balance perspective. They don't do overtimes, and not only they don't do overtimes, it's socially not acceptable, and none will say that you did a great job because you actually stayed after work, and because of that, we meet the deadline. But they just say that maybe you actually harm the whole team, because right now the whole team think bad about this company, and everyone thinks bad about all the team members, and you put additional social pressure that everyone expected to help you. So you are extremely bad with your time management perspective, and you should never ever do that. It's some kind of general approach. And if it's possible, I feel, can we say, I have one link to put. Can we watch small video? I feel that it's funny. Finally, I will have a chance to have a photo without open mouth. Yeah, this is amazing guy. He does this kind of very funny comparison videos between different countries, and usually between the United States and Europe. And this is I wanted you to watch. Yeah.
Team, we have a deadline tomorrow, but what do we always say about work?
Capitalism must be overthrown with revolution?
No. How are we... Team, we have a deadline tomorrow, but what do we always say about work?
Capitalism must be overthrown with revolution?
No, we say deadlines are a suggestion. Jesus, Jürgen, calm down. I mean, you're right, but calm down. Brian, let's talk about your new project. The due date is 3 weeks ago.
I can't complete it in the past.
Well, Michael Jordan used to win basketball games in the past all the time.
I don't think you understand how time works.
And I don't think you understand how Michael Jordan works. Team, we have a deadline.
Oh, it's general conception. Okay, and when we talk, for example, about Brazil, we have kind of a balanced situation. So usually, from what at least I saw, people trying trying to meet deadlines, but at the same time care a lot about actually the quality of the jobs that they provide, and if they need to choose do we need to do a quality job or really fast job, it's better to push a deadline. Sense of urgency is somewhere in between, I guess United States and other countries, and dissatisfaction is kind of the same as without feedback. It's a little bit other situation in Ukraine. And I guess that's all from my side. Thank you so much for staying with me today.